In the bustling heart of New York City, where the skyline pierced the heavens like jagged promises, Emily Carter had always believed in the unbreakable thread of childhood vows. At 22, she was a rising graphic designer in a sleek Manhattan firm, her days filled with the hum of creativity and the distant roar of yellow cabs. But it was Jake Harlan, her neighbor from the sleepy suburbs of Queens, the boy who'd shared scraped knees and stolen fireflies, who anchored her world. They'd grown up in the shadow of the Verrazzano Bridge, dreaming of escaping the concrete jungle together. "You're my lucky charm, Em," he'd whisper during their late-night rooftop confessions, his blue eyes sparkling under the city lights. She believed him. God, how she believed him. But how? That fateful autumn evening in 2015, the air was crisp with the scent of fallen leaves and impending rain. Emily was rushing home from a client meeting, her portfolio clutched under one arm when her phone buzzed insistently. Jake's voice was frantic over the line. "Em, it's Sophia. The accident. God, it's bad. I'm at the corner of 5th and 42nd. Hurry," Sophia read. Jake's fiancée is the poised Columbia grad with raven hair and a smile that could disarm a room. Emily had met her only twice, but envy had already taken root, a quiet thorn in her chest. Still, loyalty surged through her veins like adrenaline. She hailed a cab, barking directions as thunder rumbled overhead. The scene unfolded in chaotic slow motion. Jake's sleek black Audi, a gift from his Wall Street internship, had swerved into oncoming traffic tires, screeching against rain-slicked asphalt. Sophia was slumped in the passenger seat, blood trickling from her temple, while Jake fumbled with his seatbelt, dazed. A massive delivery truck barreled toward them, its horn blaring like a death knell. Without a second thought, Emily leaped from the cab, her heart pounding in her throat. "Jake, move." She shoved him aside just as the truck's grill loomed her body, twisting in a desperate bid to shield Sophia too. The impact was a symphony of crunching metal and shattering glass. Pain exploded in Emily's right leg, a white-hot vice that pinned her beneath the wreckage. Sirens wailed in the distance, but as paramedics pried her free, she caught Jake's gaze, not gratitude, but something darker, colder. The truth unraveled like a poorly knit sweater in the sterile glow of Mount Sinai Hospital's ER. Emily's femur was shattered beyond repair. Surgeons whispered of permanent limp, endless rehab, a life forever altered. She lay in her bed, morphine dulling the edges, when Jake stormed in his face, a mask of fury. Sophia miraculously had only minor cuts thanks to the seatbelt Emily had instinctively tugged tighter in those frantic seconds. But Jake didn't see the hero. "You did this, Emily?" He snarled, his voice echoing off the beeping monitors. "You always hated her. You timed it pushing me out of the way to make it look like I hit them. God, why? To ruin us." His words were venomous, laced with the paranoia of a man who'd overheard Emily's drunken confession to a friend months ago. Jake's too good for her. He deserves someone who sees him like I do. Emily's world tilted. "Jake, no, I saved you. Both of you." But doubt flickered in his eyes, fanned by Sophia's subtle nods from her bed across the hall, her hand on his arm like a possessive vine. Whispers spread Emily's jealousy was legendary in their circle. By morning, Jake had filed a restraining order claiming emotional distress. Friends drifted away, and her firm cited unreliable attendance for her release. As she stared at the IV drip, a single chilling question burrowed into her soul. What if he was right? What if her love had twisted into something monstrous? Little did she know this was only the fracture's beginning. The real storm brewed in the years ahead, where betrayal would carve deeper scars than any surgeon's knife. And somewhere in the ether of regret, fate was already rewriting the stars. Years blurred into a monotonous haze for Emily Carter, her once vibrant dreams reduced to the rhythmic clack of crutches on Manhattan's uneven sidewalks. The limp defined her now, a constant reminder of that rainy night on Fifth Avenue. She'd pivoted careers scraping by as a freelance illustrator from her cramped Brooklyn walk-up the Verrazzano Bridge, a mocking silhouette in the distance. Jake Harlan. He'd skyrocketed. Wall Street darling by 25, his engagement to Sophia Reed splashed across society pages, power couple of the year. Emily avoided the headlines, but they found her anyway, slipped under her door by a spiteful ex-friend or glimpsed on a subway ad. The betrayal deepened in shadows Emily couldn't outrun. Unbeknownst to her, Sophia had orchestrated the narrative from the start. A Vassar alum with a psychology degree and a Rolodex of influential contacts, Sophia was no damsel, she was a chess master. That night in the hospital, as Jake ranted, she'd leaned into his ear. "Darling, Emily's always been unstable. Remember how she followed you to NYU this accident? It fits her pattern. Fabricated emails surfaced anonymously forged missives from Emily's account plotting to sabotage their wedding. Jake, wounded and impressionable, swallowed the bait whole. She's poisoned, Soph. I see it now. Emily's isolation was surgical. Her parents, aging retirees in Queens, urged reconciliation. He's hurt, honey. Forgive and forget. But Jake's mother, Evelyn Harlan, a sharp-tongued real estate mogul, took a more venomous role. Evelyn had never warmed to Emily, viewing her as that scholarship girl from the wrong side of the bridge. Post-accident, she weaponized her network, blackballing Emily from design gigs. Talent, please, she'd hiss at industry mixers. The girl's unhinged nearly killed my son. Whispers turned to block lists. Emily's portfolio gathered dust. Yet in her weakest moments, Emily wavered. Late nights scrolling through Jake's Instagram curated shots of Hampton's getaways, Sophia's hand on his stirred the embers of old love. What if I explain? She'd murmur to her reflection, tears tracing the scar on her leg. Once at a charity gala she shouldn't have attended, she cornered him in a dimly lit alcove. Jake, please. It was an accident, I'd do it again. His laugh was ice. Do what ruined my life, stay away, cripple. The words sliced deeper than the crash. She fled before Sophia's predatory gaze locked on pathetic, but useful. As Emily rebuilt in solitude, sketching feverish portraits of what-ifs, a new ally emerged uninvited, unnerving. Marcus Hale, a private investigator with a scarred face and a grudge against the Harlans from a botched deal years prior. He'd tracked her down, sliding a dossier under her door, photos of Sophia's secret meetings with a shady lawyer, transcripts of Evelyn's calls, plotting to bury that Carter girl. You're not crazy, Miss Carter, Marcus growled over black coffee in a dingy diner. They framed you, and they're not done. His eyes gleamed with dangerous intent. Revenge wasn't just his business, it was his religion. Emily's hand trembled on the folder. For the first time, rage flickered brighter than regret. But as Marcus outlined a counterplan, subtle leaks, anonymous tips, doubt crept in. Was this justice or a descent into their darkness? The city lights outside flickered like warnings, and Emily wondered how far would she go to reclaim her stolen years. The answer lurked in the past, waiting to resurface with a vengeance that could shatter empires. By her 40th birthday, Emily Carter's life was a tapestry of quiet endurance, woven with threads of what might have been. The limp had softened to a subtle hitch, but the emotional wreckage remained raw. She'd carved a niche as an underground artist, her abstract pieces swirls of crimson and shadow fetching whispers of acclaim in Soho galleries. Yet solitude was her shadow. Lovers came and went, repelled by the ghost of Jake Harlan in her eyes. You're holding on to someone who doesn't exist, one had said, packing his bags. Jake, meanwhile, had become a titan. Harlan investments dominated Midtown, and his marriage to Sophia was a fortress of calculated bliss. 2 children, blonde heirs to the empire, graced their penthouse, but cracks spiderwebbed beneath the polish. Sophia's ambitions had morphed into something feral. She'd clawed her way to board seats, all while maintaining the facade of a devoted wife. Evelyn, now a silver-haired viper in boardrooms, pulled strings from the family estate in the Hamptons, her disdain for Emily evolving into obsessive surveillance. That limping witch could still talk, she'd confide to Sophia over martinis. Their alliance was a well-oiled machine, proactive in its cruelty. Yearly reminders arrived at Emily's door, fabricated parking tickets, anonymous threats scrawled on gallery invites. Emily's breaking point came unannounced in the sterile hush of a hospice room overlooking Central Park. Cancer had come for her quietly, a thief in the night, ravaging the body that had once leaped into hell for love. As monitors beeped their dirge, Marcus Hale sat vigil, his dossier now a bible of betrayals. You could have exposed them years ago, he urged, voice gravelly. One leak and their house of cards crumbles. Emily's laugh was a rasp, and become them no Marcus. Some poisons are too sweet. Fate, however, had one final twist. Jake Harlan appeared at her bedside like a specter from a fever dream, unbidden, uninvited. Sophia had barred him, citing old wounds, but Evelyn's machinations had failed. Guilt, that rare intruder, had breached his armor. He looked older, lines etching his once boyish face, a crown of silver at his temples. He began, voice cracking as he clutched her frail hand. I was wrong. The accident, Sophia showed me the reports. You saved us. All those years I let her poison me. Tears welled, genuine for the first time. Forgive me, please. Emily's heart stuttered, a treacherous flutter. Memories flooded, stolen kisses under Queen street lamps, promises etched in sidewalk chalk. For a heartbeat, weakness won, she squeezed his hand, whispering, "Jake, I—" But then the floodgates of recall burst. Flashes the restraining order served on her hospital bed. Evelyn's laughter at her failed job interviews. Sophia's smirking texts leaked by Marcus Keep, the disabled person limping darling. The rage ignited, stealing her gaze. Forgiveness. "You'd trade places with me now. Live my hell." Jake nodded frantically. "Anything. I'd rather have lost my leg than your light in my life." Her final words were a blade honed by decades, then rot in your regret, Jake. You chose her web. Now tangle in it. She turned away the monitors, accelerating their requiem as darkness claimed her. An electric, impossible surge ripped through her veins. The room dissolved in a vortex of light and shadow. Jake's horrified face, the last anchor. When Emily's eyes snapped open, she wasn't in the hospice. She was in a cab on Fifth Avenue, rain lashing the windows, phone buzzing with Jake's frantic call. The accident hadn't happened yet. She was 22 again, reborn. The circle tightened and Emily's lips curved in a dangerous smile. This time the savior would watch the sinners fall. Disorientation hit Emily like a second crash heart slamming against ribs, the cab's vinyl seats sticking to her unscarred thighs. No limp, no gray in her hair. The date on her phone, October 15th, 2015. 5 minutes to the intersection. Jake's voice crackled from the speaker. Hurry. Sophia's bleeding. It isn't good." Reality fractured. This was no dream. The rebirth was visceral, a second chance etched in her bones. But with it came the weight of foreknowledge heavy as lead. She paid the driver with trembling hands, stepping into the downpour. The city pulsed around her horns, blaring pedestrians, blurring into phantoms. There ahead, the Audi's taillights flickering erratically, Sophia's silhouette slumped inside. Jake wrestled with the door, oblivious to the truck's growl approaching. Emily's instincts screamed muscle memory, urging her forward. She could save them, redeem the past. Her feet moved of their own accord, closing the gap until Jake's eyes locked on hers through the rain-streaked glass. Trust, desperation, love perhaps in its purest, unpoisoned form. Hesitation rooted her. Not again, she breathed, visions of hospice regret clashing with rooftop memories. What if this time he believed her? What if Sophia's web never spun? A sob escaped raw and unbidden. She loved him still, that boy from Queens, not the monster he'd become. Stepping closer, she raised a hand ready to pull him free. But then a shadow detached from the alley. Sophia's best friend, Lila Voss, a sharp-eyed marketer with a vendetta against homewreckers like Emily, whom she'd pegged as a threat early. Lila had anonymously tipped off the truck driver, a prank gone wrong, to test Jake's loyalty. Proactive, dangerous, her lips curled in premature triumph as she watched from the shadows. The twist ignited Emily's clarity. Lila's involvement, detailed in Marcus's future dossier, flashed like lightning. This wasn't fate's mercy, it was a gauntlet. Sophia's circle wasn't passive, they schemed in layers. Emily's hand dropped. "Let it burn," she whispered, stepping back into the crowd. The truck struck with a thunderous roar, metal twisting like a lover's betrayal. Screams erupted. Emily melted into the chaos, heart fracturing anew. Sirens wailed as she slipped away, the weight of inaction, a bitter elixir. Back in her untouched Brooklyn apartment, Emily pored over her pristine life. No crutches, no block lists. But the rebirth demanded more than a mission, it craved orchestration. She dialed Marcus Hale, the PI, whose path she'd now preempt. "Mr. Hale, it's Emily Carter. I need dirt on Sophia Reed, yesterday." His chuckle was smoke-feisty one. "What's the angle? Revenge, the Harlan kind." As dawn broke over the East River, Emily stared at her reflection, whole, unbroken. The weak girl who'd leaped without question was gone. A woman forged in fire stood in her place, ready to weave her own web. But doubt lingered. Had she damned Jake unjustly? Or was this the surprise twist fate owed her a lifetime, where she danced on their graves? With the accident's dust settling like fallout, Emily Carter dove into the underbelly of New York's elite, her rebirth, a catalyst for calculated fury. The headlines screamed tragedy, Wall Street heir paralyzed, and fiery crash fiancée fights for life. Jake Harlan, trapped in a mangled chassis, had lost the use of his legs. Sophia emerged with a fractured skull and amnesia spells that turned her once sharp mind foggy. Evelyn Harlan, the matriarch, mobilized like a war general, her real estate empire funding round-the-clock care at a private clinic upstate. But Emily knew the fractures ran deeper. Armed with Marcus Hale's prelim intel, hacked emails revealing Sophia's flirtations with venture capitalists. Evelyn's offshore accounts skimming family funds, Emily struck subtly. No grand gestures, this was scalpel work. She leaked anonymized tips to Page 6 Harlan heiress's secret affairs amid crash scandal. The society rag devoured it, splashing photos of Sophia's girls' nights that masked trysts. Bedridden and bitter, Jake devoured the articles in his hospital haze, doubt seeding like weeds. Emily's own life bloomed in the chaos. Freed from the limp's shadow, she landed a dream gig at a Tribeca ad agency, her designs exploding with the pent-up fire of 2 lifetimes. Colleagues buzzed Carter's got edge raw reel, but vulnerability clawed back during a late-night studio session, sketches of Jake's boyish grin morphing into twisted wreckage. "What have I done?" she murmured, dialing an old Queen's number, her mother's. "Emmy, you sound different." The call steadied her, a reminder of stakes beyond revenge. The supporting cast sharpened their claws. Sophia's scheming confidant Lila Voss didn't mourn passively. She countered aggressively, tracing the leak to a burner IP near Emily's zip. "That bitch is involved," Lila hissed to Evelyn over encrypted calls, her marketing savvy pivoting to digital smears. Doctored posts flooded Emily's feeds. Jealous ex stirs pot in Harlan tragedy. Evelyn, ever the strategist, greenlit a smear campaign hiring PIs to dig into Emily's spotty past, fabricating affairs instability. Tension peaked at a clandestine meet in a Washington Heights speakeasy. Marcus slid a flash drive across scarred oak jackpot. Sophia pushes Jake to sue the truck company. Insider knowledge says she knew the route but delayed his call for drama. Emily's stomach churned. Almost she picked up the phone to warn Jake anonymously, a lifeline from the abyss. Her finger hovered love's echo, whispering forgiveness. But then a memory, his hospice plea laced with Sophia's invisible strings. She deleted the draft. Burn it all. As Lila's net tightened a tail on her subway ride slashed tires outside her building, Emily countered with a twist. She befriended Jake's estranged sister, Nora Harlan, a bohemian photographer iced out by Evelyn's control. Emily confessed fragments over wine in Nora's loft. "I saw the crash. Your brother's strong, he'll see through the fog." Nora, wise to family rot, bit Sophia's a viper, always was. Alliance forged, the web quivered. Emily stepped into the night pulse, racing with suspense. Every shadow hid a hunter. Every ally a potential blade. The real drama, Jake's first lucid call to her voice, broken M. "Was it you at the scene?" Her silence was thunder. The game had only begun, and the players were drawing blood. The Harlan empire teetered on fault lines Emily had meticulously widened, each leak a tremor building to quake. Jake's recovery dragged through opulent misery custom wheelchair, from Milan therapists on payroll, but his eyes, once fierce, now hollowed by phantom pains and marital frost. Discharged with her own cane, Sophia played the martyr, beautifully cooing bedside pep talks while plotting boardroom coups. She'd murmur that we'll rise stronger, love her foggy spells, masking sharper schemes, diverting rehab funds to her startup slush fund. Evelyn Harlan, the unyielding core, escalated with lethal precision. No longer content with whispers, she unleashed her inner circle, private security firms tailing Nora, now Emily's unwitting conduit. "Cut the sister loose," Evelyn commanded over a video link from her Hamptons bunker, her face a map of Botox and bile. Lila Voss, elevated to Evelyn's right hand, complied with digital ferocity deepfakes of Nora confessing to the leaks seated on Reddit's R Wall Street Bets. The backlash was swift. Nora's career tanked her loft, raided by concerned cops on a planted tip. Emily felt the noose tighten during a rain-soaked stakeout outside the Harlan clinic. Marcus Hale, her grizzled oracle, fed real-time hacks. Sophia's meeting a divorce lawyer tomorrow. Covering tracks. The irony twisted like a knife. Sophia, architect of Emily's isolation, now fleeing her own cage. Weakness struck again. Emily envisioned Jake alone, broken, echoing her past limbo. She drafted a letter in a Greenwich Village cafe. "Jake, it was never hate. Let me help." Her pen hovered, tears blurring ink. Love's ghost, Claude, forgive, redefine, but the dossier's photos resurfaced, Sophia's hospital whispers, Evelyn's block lists. She shredded it, flames devouring the fragile truce. Proactivity defined the antagonist's peril. Sensing Emily's hand, Lila orchestrated a trap, a forged invite to a rehab fundraiser at the plaza, luring her into a den of Harlan loyalists. Emily arrived armored wire from Marcus Nora as backup. The ballroom glittered with chandeliers and champagne flutes, Jake at the dais in his chair, Sophia's arm looped possessively. Their eyes met across the crowd. His widened in shock, hers narrowed in calculation. "Emily," he rasped into the mic, voice amplified for all. "You came." The confrontation crackled like a live wire. Sophia sidled close, breath hot. "Slumming it or finishing what you started," Emily's retort was velvet steel. "Just watching the show, Soph. Act Three's a killer." Whispers rippled. Lila hovered, phone ready to record a scene. But Nora struck first, slipping Evelyn a USB of embezzlement proofs, Sophia's fund siphons. Chaos erupted, Evelyn's face drained to ash, Jake's confusion boiling to rage. "What is this?" he demanded, wheeling toward Sophia. Emily slipped out amid the melee, heart pounding with electric tension. Marcus's voice crackled in her earpiece. "Clean getaway." "But they're on to you. Lila's got your plate." The night air bit cold, suspense coiling like smoke. Jake's unanswered text burned in her pocket. "Why won't you talk to me?" The blades were out, alliances shattering. One wrong step and the hunter became the hunted. Emily vanished into the subway's maw, wondering if redemption lay in ruin, or if her mercy had died with the girl who once saved him. As autumn leaves bled red across Central Park, Emily Carter's symphony of retribution crescendoed into a storm that no Harlan fortune could weather. The plaza fallout had ignited fuses. Jake, wheelchair-bound and seething, demanded audits on Sophia's charity accounts, uncovering the slush fund's wrought millions funneled to her vanity projects. "You used me," he accused in their penthouse voice, echoing off marble floors. Sophia's retort was a serpent's hiss. "I built us. You were nothing without me." Divorce papers flew, her amnesia episodes now convenient shields in court. Evelyn, cornered like a queen in check, lashed with aristocratic fury. She rallied old money allies, senators, media moguls, for a counter-smear Emily painted as a vindictive stalker, her agency gigs yanked overnight. Lila Voss, the digital demon, amplified it, bots flooding LinkedIn with Carter's crash fixation doctored psych evals surfacing. Proactive peril peaked when Lila cornered Marcus in a Hell's Kitchen alley, brass knuckles glinting, "Back off the Harlans or your scars get company." Marcus, no stranger to brawls, disarmed her with a taser crackle, but the message lingered. They fought dirty, drawing first blood. Emily's empire, meanwhile, ascended. Nora Harlan, freed from family shackles, partnered on a gallery show, Fractured Bonds. Emily's art, a cathartic blaze. Sales soared. Whispers of a TEDx invite buzzed. But the limp's ghost haunted in solitude nights, replaying the non-save Jake's mangled form, a specter. Weakness peaked during a surprise visit from her parents, their queen's warmth clashing with her steel. "Emmy, this anger. It's eating you," her mother pleaded over pie. "Call him. End it." Emily cracked, dialing Jake's private line under dawn's gray. "It's me," she whispered when he answered groggy. "I saw everything, the lies. But I almost saved you again." Silence stretched taut as a wire. God, why does it hurt so much? His vulnerability pierced. Forgiveness danced on her tongue because you chose wrong. But maybe... A pause, then Sophia's voice in the background, sharp, intervening. Click. The memory of betrayal slammed home, hospital accusations, block lists, Lila's threats. She hung up, resolve hardening like frost. Marcus delivered the killing stroke, a whistleblower video, Sophia confessing the frame job to Lila, time-stamped pre-crash. Leaked to the New York Times, it detonated. Headlines screamed, "Harlan scandal, fiancé's plot exposed." Jake's empire quaked, stock dips, investor exodus. Evelyn suffered a stress-induced collapse, her Hamptons fortress besieged by reporters. Lila vanished into witness protection, her schemes unraveling like cheap thread. Emily watched from a rooftop bar, city lights, a sea of fireflies. Tension coiled as Jake's car pulled up below him, alone, wheeling to the entrance. He ascended, eyes locking on hers across the crowd. "We need to talk," he said, voice raw. The air thickened with unspoken what-ifs. Would she yield or seal the grave? The night held its breath, vengeance's vein pulsing with one final fateful beat. The rooftop bar atop the Beekman pulsed with jazz undertones and the clink of glasses, but it was a coliseum of reckoning for Emily Carter. Jake Harlan maneuvered his chair through the throng, determination etching his face paler, now shadowed by scandal's siege. Sophia's empire had crumbled overnight, arrested for fraud, her Vassar polish tarnished in Riker's gray. Evelyn, stripped of proxies, faced SEC probes from her sickbed, her venom turned inward on painkillers. Lila Voss, a ghost flipping for immunity on lesser players. The Harlan name, once ironclad, dangled by threads Emily had severed with surgical grace. Jake halted before her rein from an earlier squall beating on his jacket. He started whispering gravelly over the Sax's wail. The video? It all makes sense now. You knew. You let it happen. His eyes searched hers, accusation warring with awe, love's ember flickering in regret's ash. Emily sipped her Manhattan, the cherry stem, a tiny guillotine. Knew I lived it, Jake. Twice. The confessions spilled like vintage wine, the sacrifice, the false accusations, the hospice plea swallowed by Rebirth's maw. He recoiled, chair creaking. You died hating me. No, she admitted vulnerability, cracking her armor and loving you. That's why it almost broke me again seeing you on that rain-slicked street. I reached out. But Sophia's shadow, Evelyn's claws, your blindness, I chose myself. Tears traced his cheeks unbidden. I'd trade this chair for one honest minute with you back then. Forgive me, Em. Rebuild. The plea hung a bridge over the abyss. Emily's heart stuttered old vows echoing from Queen's rooftops, the boy she'd die for. Weakness surged. She knelt, hand on his. Jake, The world narrowed his warmth, the city's hum a distant lullaby. Almost forgiveness bloomed a fragile truce. But Marcus's warning flashed, they never change. And the real unspooled restraining orders on her hospital tray, Nora's bruises from Evelyn's discipline, Lila's alley threats. Sophia's laugh was phantasmagorical and cruel. She withdrew, standing tall. Forgiveness isn't erasure, Jake. It's release for me. His face crumpled, a dam breaking. Then what now? Emily's smile was dawn's first light, serene, unyielding. You learn like I did, rise or rot. She turned, leaving him to the night winds, her steps unhindered whole. Months wove into renewal. Emily's gallery exploded into a movement, Reborn threads, collaborations with Nora, birthing exhibits from LA to London. Marcus partner in a PI firm, their scars are badges of survival. Jake. He divested Harlan Shadows, founding a victims advocacy nonprofit, Ironic Justice, wheeling through hearings with quiet fire. Whispers reached Emily he'd named a scholarship after her, no contact, but peace in the echo. Under a Verrazzano sunset, Emily sketched the bridge, not fractured, but spanning. The rebirth hadn't erased scars, it had gilded them. Fate's surprise, not revenge's blaze, but freedom's quiet roar. In America's concrete veins, she'd chosen not to save him, and in saving herself ignited a legacy that outshone any regret. The end? No, just the horizon's endless curve.